Hello and welcome everyone to episode 25 of One Piece at a Time, the One Piece read-through podcast where we read and discuss 5 chapters of the One Piece manga each and every week. I'm your host, Derek Bittner, and I'm joined by my wonderful co-host and freelance letterer at Shonen Jump, Brandon Bovia. Brandon, I want to say how you doing, but I've been keeping up with you. I know it's been kind of a rough past few weeks.
Yeah, it's gonna be a busy month for me. As my normal intro goes, I'm the English letterer for manga like Dragon Ball Super and Kaiju number 8, and I actually, in between recordings, my other series in Shonen Jump, Ayashimon, ended, and I've started a new series called Aliens Area, which is basically like Men in Black, the manga.
Ooh, nice.
This is the easiest way to describe it. So yeah, that's a fun time. Probably a good 2 or 3 chapters in by the time that this podcast comes out. So check it out.
Yeah. Pour one out for Brandon's old computer because
it's caused a lot of problems.
Yeah, you know, if you work from home online, yeah, that's a problem, and that's an issue. But fortunately, he's all good to go. He is squeezing in. He loves you this much and One Piece this much. He's squeezing in the podcast for us. And
this is the reprieve.
Yeah, this is the break.
This is all the fun stuff.
Yeah. Speaking of fun stuff, I guess we should talk about the overall news where Oda's taking a break right now, as of this recording, to prepare for the final arc of One Piece.
Well, I think final arc is a little specific, I think.
Okay.
It's more like, I've seen some, they'll say like the final saga or the final act. It's basically more, I feel like it's more of a general sense of like, we're moving towards the conclusion. And I think if you've been reading the manga, there's a very sort of specific set of like, well, we're kind of running down the checklist and there's only so many things left to do. So I could totally see the manga might be over or ending by the time that this podcast catches up to it.
That is insane to me that we just so happened to pick the perfect time to start this thing.
Yeah. it really could end up being the most like immaculate timing.
I would love that.
We just finished the longest arc in the series by far, and that lasted 4 years. I don't think any of the other arcs remaining will last nearly that long. So we'll probably have a good few arcs before the end.
I have a feeling Oda realized, like, okay, people did not like how long this arc went.
Take it or leave it. There's definitely some arc fatigue, but there are shorter arcs that feel longer.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. I like Wano quite a bit. But,
okay.
But it definitely drags in spots. Don't get me wrong.
Oh yeah.
By the time it was over, I'm like, all right,
we did it.
So, yeah, I think once we get to it in the podcast, I think it'll read a lot better. Because reading it week to week, I think was more of a pain than reading it in chunks.
Yeah,
should be smoother.
I felt that before, where
tends to be the
one
case.
at a time is a little rougher. But we get to read it 5 at a time, and thank God, because this is quite the set of chapters where we are just in the thick of it with the fight against Mr. 3 and the whole Little Garden saga.
I would have flown through this.
Oh, yeah.
If I was reading this just normally, yeah.
This is like 20... This did not take long to read at all. It is a fast set of chapters. And we begin with chapter 121, I Knew. And I like these. I didn't comment on it before, but it's just... We now have the sense of what they're actually doing with this. Every character gets their own title page as we take a break between our...
and usually interacting with some strange animal in some strange circumstance.
I mean, that's just how it goes at this point. So there you go. We got Zoro hanging out next to a hammock. But as we get to the actual thing, we see that Mr. 5 and Miss Valentine are getting some revenge now that they've captured Vivi. And they have beaten the hell out of Karu, Usopp, and Luffy, since he's just stuck there under the rock.
Yeah, desperate circumstances. Everybody's down.
And you gotta love how they're talking so big, as like even the one worth 30 million turned out to be a loser. He's stuck under a mountain.
You're right. Like, I mean, sure, yeah, you can talk smack all you want, but like he's alive, stuck under a mountain. And I love even, like, Mr. Five's doing all this trash talk, and Luffy's just like, bleh, drop dead. Like, and it spits on his foot.
Yeah. I even this little mention of, like, oh, you caught Zoro, then you're doomed.
Yeah. He's just not phased at all.
Mm-hmm. You can see the scuffs. He's definitely taken a bit of a beating. Poor Usopp in the foreground, though, as those explosions go off. That makes it seem much more devastating somehow.
It kind of does, yeah.
And Oda continues his tradition of making Mr. Five look cool but being ridiculous because his kicks are called kicky bombs.
Yeah.
How threatening.
Yeah. It's only slightly better than the booger.
Only slightly. But the three are left beaten and blown up as they leave with Vivi. And we just have this sort of sizzle going on with Luffy as we return to Mr. 3 and discover that Mr. 3 has a bit of a sadism streak.
Yeah.
I don't remember picking up on this in the anime. I feel like this is much more pronounced in the manga.
I think this is an aspect of his character that does not last, from what I remember. Like it almost feels like this character, not to spoil things too much, but like his personality, I feel like it's kind of like this feels like a one-off. Like he doesn't feel. I don't think he acts this way at any other point in the story. I could be completely wrong, but
it might also be the one time has the leg up on everything.
Right? Yeah, he has to be introduced as a somewhat threatening villain, so he has to. He spends like 3 pages just like, I've caught you now.
Yeah,
like, okay.
He's definitely like milking it up for him being a hateable villain at this point. Mm-hmm. And just a little taunts to Broggy. You're like, don't glare at me like that. It frightens me. And just taunting about the whole duel thing. It does a good job of making him just despicable in this case.
Yeah, and it's through sort of all of that, or I guess once Vivi shows up with Valentine and Mr. Five, it's like that's when he finally finds out, that like, oh, the bomb was planted in the ale.
And it's just, oh god, that look, that close up of Broggy's eyes.
Right, and once he finally realizes,
it hits you. It definitely hits you, and I really like Mr. Three's ability. By the way, it's so
it's very versatile.
Versatile. I think that's what makes it fun. He has this weird style with him, with his arms just melting into wax. How things can quickly be soft, then hard, like rock solid again.
Yeah, the paneling I think does a really good job of like selling it too, just the way that his body like warps into candle wax.
Yeah. Then we get his ridiculous candelabra, which I don't know why he has a jack-o'-lantern at the top, because
I forgot about I remember this part. I forgot about the jack-o'-lantern specifically.
There seems to be no real reason for it.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that it feels like it is such a, I can't complain because it's so in character, but it is such a like specific set piece used for a very specific amount of interactions that we'll see in this batch of 5 chapters. But it's just kind of like this only played out this way because he just has such a flair for the dramatic, and it's just like, you know what, it makes sense for this character,
Yeah,
like,
he considers himself an artist. He's a sadist. This makes sense. And, we find out, of course, that those things that Zoro and Nami discovered in the woods were just wax replicas of their friends, and they've been captured due to that.
Yep.
And then they got stuck into the candelabra here with their feet embedded in the wax. And Zoro, playing it cool at all times, is like, oh, now I know how it feels to be a birthday cake, candelabra birthday cake. That is a 4 kids line.
Zoro in this entire situation feels like a completely different character. And I don't think that's entirely down to the dialogue, but just sort of the way he acts is so just like nonplussed and nonchalant.
Mm-hmm. He never really.
He has to be the one who feels calm while the other two are freaking out.
Yeah, it's like the way this whole thing works is that the candelabra at the top is going to spin and rain down wax that'll slowly cover them and, turn them into wax figures. And I forgot to look for it when I was reading through this, but I remember in the anime, I think they mentioned how the wax would also get in their bodies and just get them in, like, freeze them in the inside as well.
I thought they mentioned that here, but I could have that could have been my memory of the anime, just sort of like, oh yeah, and that too.
Yeah, I'm looking for that dialogue, but I'm not really seeing it. Because
it's like they're breathing it in, and it's like getting harder to breathe for them. So I guess that's where I sort of assume.
Oh yeah, that must be where it gets at that point, because it's like, how do they come back from this in a realistic sense? Obviously, this is far from realistic, but dear God,
right? Yeah, it's such a like. I mean, it feels almost like a classic movie villain kind of plot of just like, I'm going to slowly, very slowly torture you, and you will slowly die so that we can create tension. I don't necessarily know if this is a good example of that, but it is fun and it is in character. You definitely have to kind of like let your suspension of disbelief go a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. For this part, there's certain times in One Piece where you got to look at the amount of damage being given and how they kind of like, still stand. Right. It's like you just gotta shrug it off because dear God. I also I didn't think about it at the time of reading, but in thinking about it now, this is the first time Zoro has met Brogy.
Oh, yeah.
And he's just sort of looking at this giant pinned to the ground and just sort of taking it in as it's going on. Because, Mr. 3 is still taunting, is like interpreting his thing where he's like, he finally won his duel. He was so filled with pride that he started crying. But were you weeping for your friend? It feels like
he's saying this to catch Zoro up.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, okay. I see now.
Oh, thank you for that. And of course, Brogy, this upsets Brogy. And the reasoning is like, he could tell something was wrong. I knew something was wrong and he was hiding something. But how could I dishonor him by showing mercy when he was willing to suffer in order to continue the fight?
That speech combined with like that rage as you see him just like slowly breaking the candle trap. And you can even see Mr. 3 kind of going like, ooh.
Yeah, the shiver. It's like, take that.
Yeah. Yeah. He gets blown up by Mr. 5, before he can break out. But just the fact that like he got that close is like, oh man.
Yeah, it's pretty great stuff. And I mean,
absolute rage, and you feel it.
Oh yeah, and I gotta say, one, Mr. 5 is really good at beating up people when they're down.
Yeah, and maybe only when.
Yeah, maybe. And Mr. 3 didn't want Mr. 5 involved, but hey, he just saved his butt. But God, I love this ending for this chapter. Luffy just saying, hey, are we going to let them get away with this, Usopp? No way. Are you mad too, Bird? All right, let's go collaborate those guys. And we got...
It was such a great moment.
Karoo digging out Luffy. It's like, it's good stuff.
Oh, okay. That's what I was about to say. It's like, I don't know if we ever actually see them, but now that I look closer, like, okay, that's how we got out.
I wondered for a while because, like, how did Luffy get out? As we'll see later, but I noticed it because I did a little quick reread before this. I saw the Karoo digging. I was like, okay, that's how it happened.
Yep, that makes sense.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a good old just like, as we'll see in the next chapter. I'm a big sucker for those like last minute arrival.
Oh yeah, or just like they're beaten and bloodied, but it's like, yeah, we're not letting this happen. Let's go get them. And even Usopp doing that. That's good stuff. But let's go ahead and continue on to chapter 122 because again, this is a fighty set of chapters. We are going to be blowing through these. It feels like. With chapter 122, a dead body is useless. I mean, that's correct, but. Man, you get Brogy down, Nami calling. I like that Nami's calling out for him. That's a nice little touch. And God, this is brutal. I do not remember from this from the anime.
Yeah, I was gonna say that. I feel like in color and in motion, this is probably a lot more painful. But yeah, just the whole like Mr. 3's wax arts sword, and he just stabs him in the wrist.
Yeah,
it's just. Ugh. Stabs
him in the wrist, stabs him in the feet. It's just, God, that is pure torture. Like that's,
candle powers.
Who would have expected a wax fruit to be this devastating?
Seriously.
And you just feel for Brogy at this point, and yeah, here it is that the candelabra spinning faster now, and that's when Nami says my chest hurts. Yep. The wax is getting in our lungs.
It's going to suffocate them, basically.
Yeah.
It's so goofy looking, but it's also just messed up.
Yeah. It's pretty devastating.
Yeah, it's the birthday cake from hell.
And there's the sadism is like, let your bodies become monuments to horror.
Yeah, and he's just, he's looking... I guess, I forget if it's this chapter or next chapter, but I do love that Zoro sort of specifically chooses not to give him that satisfaction.
Yeah. And they really do, like, even though it's a lot of stuff happening all at once and like the plot is absolutely moving forward right now, taking these moments where Bragi's just reflecting on their constant fights, the friendship they kind of formed, and the fact that, Dory's dead, as far as we know, on the ground there, and Bragi's just like, I'm going to die, but it's not even an honorable death in battle. So what is this punishment?
It's cruel irony.
Mm-hmm.
And then we can't even soak it in just because Mr. 3 is just pointing and laughing as soon as the next page.
His mouth does get wide. He almost puts Buggy to shame.
Yeah, actually.
And that's when we get Zoro being just absolutely amazing.
Yes.
A giant without hands and feet is still more useful than a dead man. If I cut off my legs, how about we crush these guys together?
Which, of course, makes absolutely no sense.
No.
But at least, Zoro's logic makes some sense here. That, it's like doing something's better than doing nothing, basically. But I don't know what.
I still feel like you'd bleed out before actually getting anything done. But at least you tried, I suppose. That's
he's
something.
Just like, better than sitting here, I guess.
Yeah, and it would be the ugliest fight they can at that point. So, but it's enough to get Bragi built out. Yeah.
Yeah, he's just like, I like your spirit. I'm just kind of like, wait, hold on.
And I gotta love how the agents are like, is he crazy? He's bluffing. He's all talk.
He wouldn't, right? About that.
Yeah. You don't know Zoro. Let's put it that way. Yeah. You really don't know Zoro.
I have a mental image of just like, all right, I cut off my legs, now just yeet me at him.
Yeah, just toss me, fastball special me. And I love the fear here. It's like, what is wrong with these people? They've lost their minds.
Yeah.
All Vivi has to do is reflect on Igaram. He's like, no, all right, I'm in. Let's do it to save the kingdom. That's how far she's willing to go. It's a good Vivi moment.
Yeah, I love that build up. Just seeing Zoro like ready with his swords pointed at his legs.
It's like, all right, let's do this. And that's when Luffy, Usopp, and Karu bust through the woods, all screaming their heads off as they dash past and completely miss.
Of course, you can't have a cool entrance. You can have a hype entrance, but you can't be good.
Yeah, you got to break the tension somehow. But they're all there. Usopp's ready to like avenge them, and Nami's just like, all right, batter him up, and is Luffy just like, all right, they spoiled the battle, so I'm here to take care of it.
Yep.
Once again, we got this person's like, yes, this person, the highest price in all these blue, and I guess the Navy has lowered their standards. Luffy's response, wow, look at that weird hair.
I wonder whenever we're gonna get to the point where everybody stops like you're gonna eat your words.
Yeah, I do wonder at what point people stop trying to bluster at Luffy.
Yeah, it's like, oh, you couldn't possibly be worth 30 million.
Yeah, what? Yeah, that's not, that makes no sense. And then I love that Luffy was like, oh, you're in danger, and Zoro's just like, nope, no problem here. And that's when Nami realizes, oh yeah, it's like your legs are bloody. Oh yeah, I guess I hacked about halfway through them.
I actually forgot about that part. I remembered that Zoro attempted to cut his legs off, but I forgot that he's just like, no, I'm fine.
Yeah, I mean, I started. I'm about halfway through, but it's all right. Zoro,
see,
ultimate badass.
Him getting injured in the middle of the fight is his fault. Most
of the time, yeah. What a good through point for the chapter is like, one, Luffy arrived. He's not away from this battle long at all. Just enough to get the stakes in place.
Yeah, this sequence moved by, again, we say this all the time, but it is so much faster than I remembered that it just feels like okay, it's hitting all of the points I remembered about this. They get trapped and Luffy comes in to save the day.
It's well put together, and again, that whole showing how far Zoro's willing to go to not lose. And I would say this is not a lose. He just got trapped. So he didn't actually lose a fight here. And he's willing to cut off his own legs to win said fight. So, yeah. But that's the end of the chapter. We are set up for, well, I guess it's the name of the chapter. The next chapter, chapter 123, Luffy versus Mr. 3. All right, then. That was cool. That was easy.
Yeah, okay. All right, just straightforward.
Luffy channeling his inner Wreck-It Ralph. He's going to wreck this candelabra.
He's going to wreck it. He's like, I don't know what this is. And yeah, fair. Yeah, so our new goal is now to somehow take down this giant spinning jack-o'-lantern of wax death.
Yep, and wonderful out of context line. Hurry up, we're getting stiff.
I do love, this is what I was talking about just earlier. Zoro striking a pose, and they milk that gag for as much as it's worth for the next couple chapters.
Oh yeah, they do. It's like, if I'm gonna die, I'm gonna be a statue. I want to be in this pose.
Yeah. Don't give Mr. 3 the satisfaction of like being scared as you die.
Yeah, it's just completely nonplussed by it. Like the fact that even Nami's able, like she's so put at ease by Luffy being here.
Yeah, I love I love the back and forth of her telling Zoro like, do something to stop your leg from bleeding. Just looking at it hurts me, and he's like, don't look at it.
Yeah, that's all it takes. And I gotta love Miss Golden Week being like, yeah, nothing seems to rattle those people, Mr. 3. And it's just like, yeah, not you either, because she's just set up for a picnic.
Yeah.
And the two different takes here is like, we're still being turned into wax figures. It's almost as if they have no sense that they're in danger from Vivi, while Mr. 3 thinks they don't respect our power. It's like he's not being taken seriously. So that's his issue. It's like, yeah. It's cool to see how different characters react to how these pirates act, really.
Yeah, I feel like there's always you get that point in a One Piece arc where the villain is just sort of like, why aren't you taking me seriously? You know,
I'm a big deal. I swear I'm a big deal. And honestly, a big thing I like about this that I completely forgot about, because the big joke from Whiskey Peak was just how easily Luffy and Zoro were able to take out Mr. 5 and Miss Valentine. And to have them have to deal with have Usopp and Karoo, the two cowards, dealing with these two instead this time around, that's a much better matchup.
Oh yeah. It feels like, because now you kind of understand where the bar is, and you're like, well, now we have to let, like, putting the sort of underpowered characters in that same situation makes for something a little more interesting. Yeah, because obviously Usopp's just not going to be able to completely like beat down an entire group of mercs. No, that's definitely out of his wheelhouse. But I like the setups here. It's Luffy versus Mr. 3, and we got Mr. 5 and Miss Valentine against Usopp. Yeah, and Karoo.
Of course, they're both hiding as they do.
They're like, all right, go get him. Get him, Luffy.
Take him. And again, great fight between Luffy and 3, because it's quick, but it's so effective.
Yeah, and creative.
Yeah, Luffy gets stuck in the candle lock, which immediately gives him an idea. And he adds a little extra torture to Brocky here as he grabs hold of the knife. And it's...
Yep, and... Oh.
I'm just imagining this because the forest is just wiggling in his hand. It's like, dear God, Luffy.
Yeah, wiggling the sword stuck in his hand. Just like,
Also, that panel at the bottom right where Broggy's screaming.
Yeah, he's just like, ah!
But half his face is frozen, so his like teeth are there, but his other half is like screaming. Like, dear God.
One Piece is a very serious comic.
Yeah, it is. But Luffy with a good idea. He used this gum hammer to take down the pillar. Perfect.
I like how quick that is. Just like the instant he got his like foot stuck in the wax, he's like, oh, okay.
Nice battle sense. Nice idea of what he can do with his abilities. Unfortunately for him, gravity is against him because he decided to do the table napkin trick where he just pulled it out from under and it went straight down. So instead, it's making him...
He made it worse.
Yeah, he made it worse. And I love how Vivi's just reaction is, are we really entrusting our lives to this boob, Mr. Bushido? Vivi, you poor thing. You poor thing.
Yeah, it's like, well, all right, we're kind of too late for that.
Yep. And man, again, Mr. 3 showing how deadly he can be because that wax harpoon.
Yeah, like there's so much variety in the just like amount of things he can manifest from wax, which really makes him kind of a dangerous opponent.
Yeah, he's kind of like Green Lantern in a way where he just has to imagine what he needs to make and then makes it and tosses it out. But, with the wax idea, and it's so interesting because I don't know if I ever would have thought of like making wax as hard as steel.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
it's unique. But again, we got Usopp with his patented like backup here with the gunpowder star in order to take down Mr. 3. But Mr. 5, again, with the interception, actually really helping out Mr. 3 in a lot of these cases, saving his bacon.
Teamwork.
Yeah. Swallowing that exploding star and even criticizing the gunpowder Usopp uses. Man, disrespect.
Yeah, I kind of like. I feel like Mr. 5 is sort of the like worst matchup for Usopp in this sort of situation. The fact that he can just sort of like eat his gunpowder, just like, oh, yeah.
Like he has his rotten eggs and stuff like that and other tricks, but his damaging stuff is the explosions. So I honestly have no idea how Usopp's winning this fight in the end. But I do love that Zoro's just like, man, good thing I chose this pose.
Yeah, he's just he's eating it up.
And God, this fight, this extra desperation that comes in line where it's Luffy trying to save them, but Mr. 3 constantly blocking him.
Yeah, it's just like kind of like we have such a simple goal of trying to knock this thing down, and it's kind of like a tower defense almost.
Yeah, a bit like that, and Luffy gets the hammer lock on him again, but only a single hand, which he's able to use once again as a hammer. And I love this little thing is like putting up the wall again, but this time Luffy's able to break through it and punch Mr. 3 straight in the face. Good.
I love the fist just sort of slowly cracking through
as his eyes bug out.
Yeah, and then just the page flip to the next page where he's just sent flying in that undershot from Luffy. It's just so satisfying.
That's a good hit. And man, it does throw you for a loop. It's like, all right, Luffy's got this. He's won. You completely forget about Miss Golden Week because she doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
And to see him go like, no, I don't want to save you guys. And we just hear this colors trap.
One last little twist in the middle of the fight.
That's a good way to just completely twist. Get a nice little twist to how things go. Because I'll be honest, I completely forgot about what Miss Golden Week could actually do.
Yeah, no, this power I completely forgot about.
And we're back with the SBSs, but honestly, there's not a whole lot. There's some little things about Igaram, and apparently he's doing his little voice exercise. Yeah. Oh God, his throat must be Igarichi.
The arrows made me think of a fighting game input at first. Gotta do a dragon punch to warm up your voice.
Yeah, that makes sense. That totally makes sense. But yeah, nothing too crazy from all of that. So let's go ahead and move on to chapter 124. The tea is good. And apparently Sanji in this cover page is pulling a Pulp Fiction just because he has a briefcase marked The Secret. Mm-hmm. What's in the briefcase, Sanji?
It's okay, sure. I have no idea what is up with this person that he's the guy on the boat that he's like talking to.
I got nothing. I honestly don't. But there we go. But yeah, back into the chapter itself, and everybody's screaming at Luffy to help, and Luffy just doesn't want to save them. He's like, I just don't feel like it. And that's when it's more properly between, again, Usopp's getting ready to help out, but Mr. 5 and Miss Valentine are right there waiting to cause some issues. And that's when they reveal that apparently Luffy's standing on something, a black symbol that is affecting him. But as they try to fight Usopp, of course, we're into the runaway tactic.
Right, of course. As he is best known for.
Oh, yeah. And Karu's even faster. That's impressive. I love that little bit. Is like Usopp with snot running down his nose. It's like, let me on. And Karu just runs faster because he's scared of Usopp.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, God.
These two make for a surprising, well, maybe not surprisingly, but very funny duo in terms of fights.
Oh, yeah.
Because they're both just scared out of their mind.
As it should be. It's just fun. But yeah, that Miss Golden Week finally explains her power. It's her colors trap, Betrayal Black, and it makes people want to betray their friends.
Yeah, it's like just changes your personality if you just like are painted
or near it or stepping on it.
Yeah, I don't know.
Actually, you know what I just realized? I don't think this is a devil fruit.
Wait.
They never mention a devil fruit. They never say it. They just call it colors trap. I don't think they ever mention what type of devil fruit this is.
Huh. I mean, I would assume that it is, but yeah, you're right.
I did too, but Vivi specifically says that she's an artist that can accurately recreate the colors of emotions. And
yeah, there's no specific mention of it.
Yeah, it's hypnotism. She's Django.
Yep.
Holy crap, I don't think I've ever realized that till now, that Miss Golden Week is not a devil fruit user.
Huh. Yeah, I'm going to have to look into that later. But yeah, I guess, I mean, because there are definitely, like, characters in One Piece who have powers that aren't devil fruits that are just sort of like, yeah, that's just how it works. So, yeah, I hadn't thought about that. Yeah, wow. That's what I get for assuming.
Yeah, that's wild. But Vivi, using her smarts there, saying, all right, we just got to play the opposite game. Don't help us. Oh, I'll come help you. And yeah, Luffy versus a hypnotist is not a good pairing because...
right, because he's stupid.
He's stupid, and then he just starts laughing like crazy because he gets painted with laughter yellow and can't help not laughing.
Yeah, it's interesting to me that, like, he stepped on the first one, but the next one was painted on his back, or like on his clothes even. So it's like, what is the extent of this power?
Yeah,
if it's not like sight or feel, it's just sort of like proximity.
Yeah, that's what made me always think it was a devil fruit thing, because it's proximity based. Luffy can't see that yellow. How does this work? Is it just sort of like a mental thing that you're just somehow aware of it? I don't know. It's. I hope for an SBS where they kind of explain Miss Golden Week's powers here, because I've never been so curious about them. I just sort of accepted him before. But thank God for Usopp and Karoo, because it knocks into Luffy, which smudges the paint, and he's good to go again.
Right, as simple as like smudging the paint is all it takes to make the ability less effective when he can't even see it because it's on his back. Huh.
Yeah, it's always the same symbol. So something about that symbol and the color is what causes it. Because
I wonder if this will come into play later, or if it has some sort of blink and you miss it reference down the line. I completely forgot about her ability, so I'm just kind of like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I have no idea, but she's effective. She completely stops his gum bazooka with bullfight red. It's
he's just punching the ground.
He can't do it. He's not even punching the ground. He just sort of like plop.
It just flops. Yep.
Yeah. And then she gets a new color on him with Calming Green. And I like the fact that she uses, it's going to mix the laughing yellow on your shirt with a blue, and bam.
Yeah. And then it's, this isn't the last time that like the random tea ceremony comes out as a sight gag.
Yeah. This is the most threatening, like, I'm going to guess, because everybody's dying. It's just the tea is good.
It's like when you're dealing with a situation where there's tension and a problem that has like not a lot of time to solve it, and then we're just like, all right, well, you're gonna have to go off and do this gag sequence while your friends die. Yeah,
that's terrifying. And they're all yelling at him, but what can he do, really? She has him in the palm of her hand as he's trying to get this stuff figured out. But I love how Zoro's just like, see, you two should have made a pose like me. Your loss.
Yep. He's resigned to die.
Yep. It's just the way it goes. We get more of the fight between Usopp and Mr. Five, and it's not really able to hit each other. They're both avoiding their attacks until Mr. Five pulls out another new ability.
Gun.
Yeah, his gun, which is honestly pretty interesting how he eventually uses it. Well, it's a six-shot 44 caliber flintlock revolver, and apparently it's a rapid-fire death machine. that he's able to breathe into the bullet casings in order to fire the bullets. And
That's so oddly specific. I love it.
Yeah, we're kind of skipping around here because there's like multiple things going on at once. Because he's
it's kind of jumping back.
Gradually taking out the bullet, explaining how it works, breathing into the chamber, and eventually shooting Usopp, just wiping out both him and Karu. That's a massive blast.
Yeah.
But in that meantime, Usopp saw that, well, everybody has turned into wax. We are kind of out of time, and Luffy is struggling to get away from this tea ceremony as he says the tea is good. Like, that face is so
mad. It's like he knows. But it's just like...
And Usopp with the save by setting Luffy on fire.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Just gotta blow up your captain.
Yep. Just gotta blow up the captain, and all good there. And Usopp gets, kind of taken down because of this. But Luffy is shirtless and singed and really, really mad and ready to take him on.
Now you can't paint on my clothes.
Yeah. And for some reason that paint won't work on him anymore. I don't know why.
I really don't. The more I think about this power, the less sense it makes.
Was her easel destroyed? That's the only thing I can think of along with it.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know.
Either way, Luffy's pissed.
Yep. Luffy is not happy. Well, end of the chapter. It's time to get this fight back going and actually save his friends. But first, an SBS where is anything happening? I guess some more of Django's design. What's the connection between ancient Egyptians and Django? Because he has one of those striped goatees like the Egyptian pharaohs. And Oda reveals that, there actually is a connection. It's like his crewmen all wear cat ears, but he has a striped goatee. That's because cats are popular in Japan these days, but cats originated in Egypt. So I added an Egyptian touch. So that's actually pretty interesting.
Yeah, I don't think I really ever noticed that, but now that he's pointed it out,
I never put that connection together.
It's really subtle.
Yeah, absolutely. Otherwise, it's just more joke stuff. Nothing too crazy.
Pretty silly.
So let's go ahead and get to our final chapter for the week as we continue this crazy, crazy fight. Chapter 125, Candle Champion, as Karu, looking dapper as hell.
Yeah, look at that drip.
Yeah.
He's got the bow tie, he's got the sandals.
Got the bag, got the shirt, got the hat. Like, he is just
I love
fashion
this one.
icon. Love it. But hey, Sanji exists. Remember him?
Yeah. It's like, oh, yeah. Well, all this is happening. God, it feels like it's been like 10 chapters since we last saw him.
I know. He went out, encountered this dinosaur. He's back
like,
with the T-Rex.
Go?
And it's like, where is everybody?
I do love these moments where the crew splits up and then just about everybody gets involved in some sort of shenanigans, and then you get like the one or two who are just kind of like, huh?
What is going on? I don't know. And he goes back out into the jungle to look for him. Well, specifically Nami and Vivi. Is accosted by a saber-toothed tiger, and that does not last long. But he catches a ride. I also love how he's calling for them by saying, "You out there? I love you."
Right, as if that's going to change anything. I definitely love as well that he's like, he encounters this like saber-tooth tiger thing, and then like he's like, "Rawr," and then the next panel he's just beaten and bloodied.
We know this isn't going to be a problem for Sanji. Yeah. Although we end off again, hello Sanji, bye Sanji, as he discovers Mr. Three's wax house, and that's really all there's to it.
I wonder what that's about.
Yeah, wonder what could be happening there. But got a nice spread, not complete spreads for the entire page, but I love this sense of where everybody's at. Usopp and Karu hunched over next to Bragi, all the others completely covered in wax. And then the remaining fighters of Mr. Five, Miss Valentine, and Miss Golden Week all waiting while Luffy's ready to take them on. Mm-hmm. And they're all saying it's too late.
Yeah, they look pretty like frozen solid at this point.
Yeah, it's not looking too good.
But that's when
that's when
I don't know where
Three.
this came from. Yeah.
Talk about out of nowhere. Mr. 3 comes back in a wax mech suit, let's say, with a giant 3, of course, on the front. I guess ready to throw down.
Yeah, man, this is so like his. I feel like Oda just did this because he likes robots.
Yeah, there's a lot of things I think Oda does that it's just like, I like this. I'm going to put it in here.
Right, like we've gone from like dinosaurs to giants to all sorts of candle-based shenanigans to a candle mech. And of course, Luffy's reaction, he's just like, oh, that's so cool.
Of course. And it also has a championship belt, so maybe his love of ultimate muscle is getting in here as well. I also love how you have Mr. 5 and Miss Valentine here just to talk it up. It's like, oh, yes, he took down a criminal worth 42 million berries with this thing.
Yeah, they're gassing him up. It's so funny.
Yep. You can't take him.
Just like, oh, that's the most powerful.
Of course, there's no weak point in this armor, except for the fact that your face is exposed. But sure, yeah, I'm sure that won't be a problem at all.
No, we don't worry about that.
And that's exactly what Luffy does, is do the gum pistol straight towards it.
Just punch it.
Yep, just punch it. I do love the detail that's like, it's made even better because of Miss Golden Week's paint job.
Right, yeah. Oh, yeah, that's a good point.
She works quick.
Yeah, and then because it's weird because he was like, I don't need you to paint it. You know, Mr. 3 was like, I'm already invincible. And then the next page is like, oh, you're done.
Thanks. That works. It's a good way to get Mr. 3 to be actually a little bit more threatening because
yeah.
He definitely wasn't going to be taking Luffy in a straight fight after what we saw. But to have him in this mech suit, able to actually block, basically just covered up, it's a expansion upon Don Krieg's armor and how it was unbreathed.
Used to much greater effect, I think.
Yeah, agreed. And that's when Usopp realizes, like, they haven't suffocated yet. If we melt the wax, we can still save them.
I really like that it's Usopp who figures this out, and that like his presence here isn't just for, you know, like the funny gags last chapter, but like he's the one who's like, you know, kind of paying attention and being like, oh, okay, there's a solution.
Yeah, like he saved Luffy. He's figuring out the solution. He's getting stuff done. It's a great team up between Usopp and Luffy fighting together, which I think is definitely the first time that's happened where they've actually fought side by side.
Yeah.
I love Miss Golden Week. It's just, yeah, it's true. That's
right. Don't give away our secrets.
Mr. 3 with complete confidence and Usopp getting ready to, you know, use his fire star, but that freaking breeze breath bomb from Mr. 5 just blowing the crap out of him. Yeah.
Oof. Usopp not in good shape after that one.
No, definitely not. And it's, man, there's too many opponents there's too much for Luffy to focus on because he's trying to save his friends. He's trying to help out Usopp and getting hit from behind. Yeah.
Yeah.
Then we have Usopp giving a rope to Karoo as he's laying on the ground. Karoo starts running off with this rope, and man, what a simple attack, but it's also really effective from Miss Valentine. Just 10 kilos, 100 kilos, 200 kilos.
I'm just going to sit on you.
His ribs have to be destroyed if his 500 kilos just sitting on it, you know?
That's not.
Just brutal. Mr. 5 is just shooting after Karoo as he runs all over the candelabra. This like sort of climax to this encounter is so chaotic. I love it. There's so much happening. This fight where Luffy's not really getting hit by Mr. 3. Is just sort of avoiding him, getting the fights. Like it feels like he's already gotten him figured out, especially because he's able to he's
kind of like a distraction.
Get in there and grab him.
Oh yeah, and once he finally does get him.
Yeah. He's like, okay, I'll just use this fire to melt the wax.
Fire on his head.
And Usopp's like, no, that's too small. Light the rope. The rope? It's soaked in oil. Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, and it's all over the place now with Karoo.
Yeah, it's again Usopp with the save. Like Luffy has the strength, but that strategy from Usopp is so good.
Yeah. Man.
And what a good final page.
Yeah, that final page is amazing. I really love Usopp's ingenuity in like this final little bit of the fight, because it feels like his contributions have like been meaningful.
Mm-hmm. And you know this is the end of the chapter, but it's also really effective because this is a very different fight that we've had in a while, because it's sort of the reverse of Luffy drowning with Arlong. Mm-hmm. The friends are in trouble. He has to save the friends, but everything about the abilities of the people he's fighting is meant to slow him down.
Yeah, exactly. It's like the solution is very simple. And what they're trying to do is very simple, but yeah, he's just kind of getting... There's so many different things happening to try to, like, break the flow.
Yeah, Luffy is obviously stronger than Mr. 3. Like, we saw that pretty quickly, but to get around the obstacles and actually save his friends, that's the true goal of this. And to see how him and Usopp work together, it makes for a very memorable fight. It's very quick. It's funny. It's all over the place.
And it fits in such a nice little bow in these 5 chapters that we've read.
Mm-hmm. And, Mr. 3 was so effectively set up as just a sadistic jerk that you want to see getting taken down.
Yeah.
It feels good. It's, it's not fully over. All we've done is finally, set our friends on fire. But I have to assume they're not going to burn to death in that inferno.
Yeah. Or you would think, have you ever touched burning, like, melted wax?
Yeah, that's not going to feel good.
Yes, I'm going to set the wax in your lungs on fire.
Yeah, just have that all... They're going to have some stomach troubles for a while. They're really going to need a doctor.
Oof.
Oh, God. That is awful, but just a fun set of fights. Like, it's honestly really impressive how quick this arc has been.
Yeah, it really, really felt really quick.
It was, we had the setup right into the fight, and I guess we're just finishing up the payoff because there's really not much left of this. And I'm excited to see how it fully ends, because I don't remember it all. Like I said, I have no idea how Mr. 5 and Ms. Valentine are defeated. And honestly, I don't even know the finishing move against Mr. 3, so...
Yeah, there's a bit of a blank spot where I don't really remember how any of the stuff resolves.
Yeah. So we're in for some good stuff, but I think for now, that is everything we've wanted to say about chapters 121 to 125 of One Piece. Thank you so much for listening, and you can find more of my ramblings and stream VODs over at BitNerd Games on YouTube, or BitNerd with an underscore at the end on Twitter. And Brandon, where can everyone find you at?
You can find me at Brandon Bovia on Twitter, where I'm talking about, the usual anime, manga, games, and my job. Definitely trying to talk more about my work without just complaining about how overworked I am all the time. I did a thread recently, just highlighting pretty much all the stuff I worked on coming out here in June, because I've done so much of it.
Oh,
so it's like, I have like 15 different things coming out. I'm gonna plug a manga by the name of The Men Who Created Gundam that I worked on, which is a very comedic kind of biography entailing the creation of the original Gundam series.
Oh, that's awesome.
Obviously not very accurate, but very hilarious. Pick it up. It's been a long time coming, and it's, as a huge Gundam fan myself, being able to work on it, I'm just like, yes.
That is awesome. I love that. So yeah, definitely check out Brandon, see more of that. And if you'd like to help us out more, you can support the podcast over at patreon.com/Derek Bittner. That's DERRICKBITNER to listen to the next episode 3 days early. And make sure to return next time as we discuss chapters 126 to 130 of One Piece. Until then, my friends, bye.
Remember to take life one piece at a time.
Now to finish up, we'll mix the laughter yellow on your back with some sadness blue. The last color's trap, tranquil green. That's some good tea. Luffy! So what happens now?
See? I told you should have posed, but you wouldn't listen to me, and now it's too late. You're gonna die like that.